Hello friends, I am Pradeep. Today I'll be talking about different meetings carried out throughout the sprint. So let's check agenda. Need of planning in Agile, then Agile planning onion, and we'll talk about different ceremonies or meetings carried out in sprint, that is sprint planning meeting, daily stand-up meeting, sprint review meeting, and sprint retrospective meeting. And there is one more meeting I'll be discussing is product backlog grooming meeting. Why do agile teams need plan? Basically, at the beginning of every sprint, development team have some goal and stakeholders have some expectations. So to have a clear-cut acceptance criteria, development team goes through the sprint planning meeting and acceptance criteria is defined to make sure that there is a very little variance between expectations set by the stakeholders and the work results delivered by the development team. Then development team has to keep in mind that the product increment produced by the end of the sprint should be aligned towards the product vision or the product roadmap. Proactively tackling upcoming problems. As in most of the situations, sprint cycle lasts for 2 weeks. That is a common practice, and development team can easily forecast if there are any risk, any resource requirement, or any issues regarding development, capacity, or any subsequent problems that can be easily forecasted by development team during the sprint planning meeting or the beginning of the sprint. Foster genuine commitment and enrollment. Scrum development team are self-organizing. So work items are assigned by development team to themselves and they commit that by the end of the sprint they would be finished with the assigned work, and that produces a genuine commitment and the confidence in development team. Plans are useless but planning is indispensable. Very well said. What I believe is plans are static, and as we move into the development, a timely change required in plan, because while development is in progress, we uncover lots of issues or we surface with the lots of problems, and plans are required to be updated. So in my opinion, plans are updated throughout the development process and simply they are evolving. Agile planning is performed at different levels of the organization, from day-to-day level planning to the portfolio level planning. Portfolio level plans define the product vision, what organization want to achieve in next 3 to 5 years down the line. And product planning is actually mapping of company vision or the organization vision to the product development. In release planning, product owners or the higher management actually break down the product into the sequential phases. And finally, they are absorbed into the different set of iterations. Once the iteration is triggered, development team meet on daily basis to discuss the plan and if there are any hiccups. So at all levels of the organization, planning is conducted. This is a Scrum machine, and these are the activities performed throughout the sprint. Let me select pane. Here are the three main roles: product owner, development team, and Scrum Master. I'll just quickly give an overview about Scrum framework. These are the main three roles: product owner, the development team, and Scrum Master. And these three roles work on these main three artifacts, that is a product backlog, sprint backlog, burn down, burn up charts, and finally finish to work. So these are the main artifacts of the sprint, and during 1 to 4 weeks of the sprint, team goes under different the team attends different meetings. Let me highlight that: sprint planning meeting, then daily scrum, then once the team reached the end of the sprint, sprint review meeting and sprint retrospective meeting. Sprint planning meeting is a trigger of the sprint where team decides about what they are going to burn down the work, or what are the user story they are going to work on. And by the end of the sprint, team produces work result, that is the developed user stories. That's in short a Scrum framework. Now we're going to look at these all meetings one by one in depth. Sprint planning meeting. This meeting is divided into the two parts. In the first part, team decide a sprint goal. In this meeting, in the first part, product owner discuss about high valued and high priority user stories with the development team. And depending upon the team capacity or team velocity, development team pick up high priority requirements for the current sprint. Once the user stories are selected, then team moves to the second part of the meeting. In this second part, the selected user stories are broken down into the tasks and they are appropriately estimated with respect to the size, the amount of efforts required to complete that user story. And individually task is assigned to the team members. These tasks are not assigned by product owner or Scrum Master. These tasks are assigned by team members to themselves. And that's where the self-organizing team comes into the picture. Once all the tasks with the appropriate story points or sizing are prepared, the total summation is called as a sprint backlog. And once sprint planning meeting is over, development team enters the phase of execution. And in execution, development team meets on regular basis for 15 minutes. Daily Scrum is a time boxed meeting and it should not exceed more than 15 minutes. That's the reason it is called as a stand-up meeting, and it's not a problem solving or status reporting meeting. In this meeting, only three questions are answered by all team members. What did you do yesterday? What will you do today? And if there are any blockers or impediments. This is not a status reporting meeting. Team discuss the progress and if there are any hiccups. But it is not a meeting where status is reported to the Scrum Master or the product owner. Status can be accumulated or received using various different tools. Again, this meeting should not last more than 50 minutes. If there are any issues or blockers to be discussed, then a separate meeting is scheduled by Scrum Master, that is a breakup session, and only required participants attend that meeting. So, by this meeting, team members understand where we are right now and what we have achieved till this point of time and how much work we have to finish by the end of the sprint. This helps Scrum Master to prepare a charts like sprint burn down and burn up charts. Once team reach to the end of the sprint, development team come together for sprint review meeting. This is a technical meeting and issues related to the product development are discussed in this meeting. The key participants of the meeting are development team, Scrum Master, product owner and stakeholders. This is a time boxed meeting and it should not last more than 2 hours. In other terms, this meeting is also known as a sprint demo meeting, where development team demo the work results or the features developed to the stakeholder or the product owner. And product owner either accept the work results or suggest some changes. He provide some feedback. In this meeting, development team discuss about how product development should be, what are the areas to be worked on so product will be more efficient and effective, and how they can work more efficiently and effectively towards the development of the product, and does acceptance criteria met or not. So these are the main points discussed during sprint review meeting. Once this meeting is over, development team comes together for sprint retrospective meeting. This meeting is specifically talks about the development process. Development team do not discuss about product, and this is some sort of feedback meeting where team members are free to provide feedback for the current sprint. If they have done something good, what was that? They will continue doing for the upcoming sprints. Then if there are some wrong practices, then these practices need to be stopped, and what are the good practices they want to inculcate for the upcoming sprints. So continue doing what they are doing good, stop doing if there is something incorrect or malpractices, and start doing the activities which would yield more value into the product development. In a lot of scenarios I have seen development team skip this meeting and Actually, that should not be the case because sprint review meeting and sprint retrospective meeting are the key applications or the key implementation of Agile fundamental, that is inspect and adapt. The result of these meetings lead to the feedback, and that leads to the improvement in development team for the upcoming sprints. So I would suggest that these meetings should not be skipped. Now we'll discuss about product backlog refinement meeting. This meeting is carried out once in a week for the sprint, so 2 times a sprint. In my environment, I carry out this meeting usually on Thursday. In this meeting, product owner, scrum master and development team are involved. Here, product owner discussed user story lined up for the upcoming sprints and try collecting as much as information regarding all this user story. Development team try uncovering the areas where they do not have much understanding, and product owner's responsibility to get answers for these questions or queries. In this meeting, user stories are sized using affinity sizing estimation technique, where ballpark figures are provided. And if user story is quite large, then it is broken into the multiple user stories, and parent user story can be called as an epic. So output of this meeting is more value user stories are ranked at the top of the product backlog, and priority for the user story is correctly updated, and that leads to less stress during sprint planning meeting, as product development team have a better understanding about the user stories. So that's it about different ceremonies performed during a sprint. Thank you.